To put things simply, I'm not enjoying VGC anymore, and I don't think I'm going to continue playing it. Now, let me explain because it's definitely a little more complicated than that. I very much enjoy actually doing the battling on cartridge. The couple of tournaments, despite not doing well, were a ton of fun. The issue for me started with the new regulation Reg I, and it's not that I don't like double restricted formats, it's that I had to build another team. And team building is easier than ever. It's easier on this game than it has been ever in the past. But the problem is it's still just not fun to build a team. I personally enjoy diving into the numbers and building a team on Pokemon Showdown, which is weird. A lot of people hate that part. I really like it. I like the theory crafting behind the team and picking the team members that I want to use. The issue for me is I got that all set in place. I had a team with Pokemon that weren't necessarily off meta, but were just Pokemon I liked. I didn't have to use Calyrex if I didn't like them. Everything was great on Pokemon Showdown. But the problem is when I went to go build a team, I just couldn't get myself to do it. It just didn't excite me, even though the team did. It just didn't seem fun to go actually put the team together on actual cartridge. Now, maybe I'm just being lazy and I should just suck it up and do it so that I can enjoy this other part of the game. But at the end of the day, this is a game. Despite how fun certain parts of it are, it shouldn't be a grind necessarily. I think for many of us, we're having to go through the grind in our daily lives, and we don't want to come home and have to keep grinding in a game anymore. Maybe you enjoyed that when you were a kid playing some MMO and grinding for new gear, and that's how I was too. I loved doing a boss fight over and over again to grind out gear, but now I just want to come home, play the game, and have a good time. And that's not what team building is. Again, I have a good time doing the numbers stuff because I'm a weird nerd, but actually grinding out the little things like the vitamins and the mints and just making sure I get the right guys, especially with trying to have like 0 speed EVs and IVs if it's a trick room team, or 0 attack IVs if it's a special attacker because you don't want to take maximum foul play damage and all of that. And sure, that's little things and you can make the case you don't need to do that. But for me, it's I want to build the perfect team if I'm going to do it. But then I just end up not doing it altogether. And I also don't want to just build a suboptimal team. So I get to this point where it doesn't sound fun to go build the team that I envision in my mind. So I just don't do it. I mean, it's been a month or two since I've played Pokemon, despite having a lot of fun when I did have the team. But this just mindlessly, I guess, grinding out to train up these Pokemon, that's not the core magical gameplay loop we fell in love with. When you pick up your first Pokemon game, it's about picking up your starter and exploring this world and discovering new Pokemon. And yes, the battling is amazing. I love that part too. But what it isn't necessarily is grinding up your levels, even though maybe that is for some people. But that wasn't it for me. I didn't want to over level my Pokemon to make the game easier. I wanted to go in maybe even with an under level team, but with my favorite Pokemon and take on this hard battle. And that's just not what VGC really is. And, I wasn't going to say this at first, but there's an idea I've had in my mind of how they could fix this. And it's kind of just like skill points kind of system where literally like how it is in Pokemon Showdown, you just plug in the numbers. And what you could do is maybe your Pokemon has to be level 100 and you just have to feed it these candies, but at least then you're running around in the world. Maybe you're going against the champion a couple more times. I remember on DS, I would love rematching the Elite Four, and that was a fun way to level up my Pokemon. And even at the worst case scenario, you could turn your mind off and just spam A. Again, that's not necessarily fun, so we should move away from that. But it'd be cool if you have a level 100 Pokemon, and then you can just I don't know, it's just like hyper super duper training or something, and you can move around the IVs and you can specify the EVs just in some weird menu. Maybe Pokemon Champions can do this. That'd be awesome. And then once you train this Charizard, especially like imagine you go through this game with your starter Pokemon and then it hits level 100, you've beaten the game, you've had this Pokemon with you throughout your entire journey, and you can just move the slider to change this Pokemon to fit the current meta rather than having like 5 different Charizards. One's I'm thinking X and Y era. So like one is a physical attacker for Charizard X, one's a special attacker for Y. Maybe you have some Trick Room one or a singles one for Belly Drum. Rather than having all these different Charizards, you could just have one Charizard, your Charizard. And that's the magic of Pokemon that I think VGC just doesn't capture at all. And it sucks. I want to feel connected to my Pokemon. I want it to be my Charizard, not just this random Charizard I'm just using for the battle. I mean, if I think about the tournaments I was in, I ended up using Zacian in the Reg G tournament. And going forward, I just wanted to keep using Zacian because I kind of built this bond with him. But it also was just such a pain to respec his EVs and stuff. And it just, again, that just doesn't sound fun. And so at the end of the day, I really just wanted to quickly make this video. I don't think people are going to see it, and just kind of vent, I guess, about my frustration with VGC and kind of why I'm not playing it anymore. And I don't know if I'm going to keep making Pokemon content. I've been enjoying Sea of Thieves right now, so I think that's going to be kind of my next arc. And eventually that'll get stale. Maybe I'll come back to Pokemon. Maybe I'll do something else, but I just want to keep making videos on whatever I'm interested in, and that's what we're gonna do moving forward. Uh, Not much to say. If you were here for my entire event, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and hopefully you'll stick around for all my different arcs, and maybe you like Sea of Thieves 2 or Wizard 101 if that arc ever happens. I don't know, or tabletop RPG game design. I have a lot of different interests. Kind of rambling at this point, so I'll see you guys later.